Check out the latest quick hitter from the Pure Hoops podcast as BJ Armstrong and Eric Newman break down the rise of the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson is out. Alec Burks has been out, who was closing a lot of games for them. How far... You know the makeup of this team. You know how Tibbs coaches. You know what Randall's turned into. Can this team win a round in the playoffs? Does it depend totally on the matchup they get? What are you thinking here if they're landing 4 through 6? Obviously, if they're in 6, they're likely seeing the Bucks.
Let's start from the beginning here. The New York Knicks it has appeared to be that they've been in a rebuild for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And just as recently as a year ago, the Knicks were being criticized for all of the players that they picked up, right? But let's think about the player. They picked up, is it Markieff that's in for the Clippers?
No, Marcus Morris.
It's Marcus. Okay, Marcus. Okay, Marcus for the Clippers. Then they picked up Julius Randle and Taj Gibson.
And Bobby Portis. And Bobby Portis. 4 guys.
And they were criticized for that. All right? They were criticized. A year later now, 1 year later, Julius Randle is an all-star. Marcus Morris is a starter on a team that's the second
top echelon Western Conference team. Yep.
Western Conference. Yep. Bobby Portis is
having his best season as a pro.
As a pro, okay. And Taj Gibson has been stellar for the Knicks. The Knicks were building a culture based on 2 things. When you are building a team, I know it's not what the analytics want to hear, but when you're building a team and we throw these words around, culture, I'm here to change the culture and all of this stuff. The Knicks did 2 things. They upgraded their talent and they upgraded their toughness. And with the addition of Tom Thibodeau, that toughness, because this is basically the same team. So give Scott Perry credit. Give the new people that came in, Leon Rose and William Wesley and Tom Thibodeau credit for acknowledging what was there, seeing what it was there, and executing it. But this is the same team. So before we start saying, can they win a series, let's first take little baby steps and say they are competitive right now, because that was the whole idea. First, you got to compete.
we got to give them a round of applause, because
yes, absolutely. This has been unbelievable.
And this is the most unsarcastic, like non-bullshit. The fact that they stuck with the plan to be disciplined, not make the ridiculous moves they used to do, be somewhat patient, but then look how quickly it's happened. It's amazing. In New York.
But in New York. Now, this isn't like we were in Orlando or Sacramento or a small market. We're in New York. And for this to happen, Julius Randle, he's playing incredible basketball right now. Julius Randle is you can't tell me right now that Julius Randle is not a top 10 player in the NBA. He's carrying this load every single night.
It's a hell of a list to try to put together. I think we'll probably name 23 guys on that list. But if you want to start having Julius that convo, we can.
And not only is Julius Randle putting up incredible numbers, playing a lot of minutes.
He's grown his game.
He's playing winning basketball.
And he's grown his game. Like Julius Randle 2 years ago couldn't shoot the 3 like this. Wasn't a pick and pop threat like this. Yeah,
he's defending
the 2-man. And sorry to cut you off, just the 2-man game with him and Derek, because Derek can still get to his spots. It's fantastic to watch.
Julius Randle. So I'm going to give the Knicks credit. I'm not concerned because I'm not going to sit here like so many of my colleagues will get up here and start saying what they could do in the playoffs, because I didn't hear anybody at the beginning of the season telling me that the Knicks were going to be in the playoffs.
Right.
I didn't hear anyone telling me that Julius Randle was going to be an all-star this year. I didn't hear anyone telling me the Knicks were going to advance in the past the first round. So I'm going to say the following. I understood what they were doing. They were very responsible on the contracts they gave those guys. The Knicks are in great position right now. Julius Randle is probably the best contract in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
The Knicks are in position right now to go out and get a max player. The Knicks right now are in a fantastic position right now for their books and economically where they can go. They have young players on this roster. R.J. Barrett and these guys are on rookie deals, rookie skill. Mitchell Robinson is an elite shot blocker. Everything is lined up for them. So now it's just a matter of, let's appreciate this moment. Let's see what they do. Because if you are a veteran player, a high caliber player, why wouldn't you consider the Knicks? Why wouldn't you consider that? Because the core is there, and they have the age and the youth to do it. And you're doing it in Gotham. So, bravo to the Knicks. I didn't hear anyone saying this, but let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it because, as you know, in New York City, you and I both, we understand that market. We understand that next year, the media is not going to be so friendly.
No, the expectation level then rises. It rises back to the Pat Riley.
Now,
level.
when they lose two in a game, it's not going to be
right.
It's so we'll see. Well, but I'm going to enjoy this year. This has been great to watch, and let's celebrate.
It's been great, and as fans get back into the arena, and you could feel it Wednesday night's game, and some people I know from New York starting to get into the Garden. They're all excited. Madison Square Garden for NBA playoff games, as you know from a player, and I know from being lucky enough to be in the building years and years ago, is a very magical and unique place. And if that returns to the NBA in New York City very soon, I think that'll be very special. One thing I'll say about free agency this summer, there's not a ton out there for them. If they want to go veteran point guard, you've got Conley and Lowry. If you want to go veteran wing, you've got DeRozan. Oladipo's a free agent, but now injured again. Schroeder, maybe. I actually like Schroeder for the Knicks with how most of their core is young and has a bright future ahead of them. I think he fits into that timeline. And then, Oubre, Will Barton, Otto Porter, other names that come to mind, but those don't excite me as far as a big building block for the Knicks today to take the next step. Back to you.
The traditional way of thinking to improve your team has always been the following. You do it through the draft, you do it through trades, you do it from free agency, or you do it from within. Those have been the four ways. Recently, we've had a phenomenon that's occurred in the NBA. It's called a disgruntled star. Okay, Eric.
I mean, we've had that for a long time. We've had that for a long time.
If you want to get good today, you just wait and have, as the team say, you have enough assets and you have enough to package, and you wait for a disgruntled star.
Yeah,
that's so. If you are a star player, and all of these things are true, everyone's into marketing and branding, and everyone's a brand, and all of these things, there will be a disgruntled star.
Oh, for sure.
If you really want to bet on yourself, you should go to New York City, because they have everything you're looking for. They have a market, they got a young team, they got the money, they got everything right there. They got a good young nucleus, good coach, terrific executives, everything is in place. So this new way of thinking, Eric, because look at all of the movement that's been this year. It hasn't been because of trades. It's been disgruntled players. in particular,
Yeah.
disgruntled stars
Yeah.
who wanted to go to a certain place.
So instead of trade targets and free
And free
agency,
agency? No,
agencies,
who
let's
cares
start.
about that?
We need to start a list of who are the likely
Who do we
disgruntled
think
stars.
stars?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let me ask you a question, and I'm not saying in any way that Bradley Beal is disgruntled, but he is an elite talent. We're not sure what the direction of Washington would be, but I'm painting a hypothetical here. As good as R.J. Barrett is, would you move him in a deal to get Bradley Beal if you're the Knicks? Because that's what it's gonna take.
These are situations. Look, that's a big question, and the reason that's a big question is because
Huge.
to get, if it's Bradley Beal for R.J. Barrett as is, okay, you look at that, but to get Bradley Beal, do you know how much you got to give up to get him?
Yeah, a lot.
It depletes your team.
Yep.
We've already been down this with Carmelo Anthony. It's hard for me to look at it from the perspective of just saying player for player. If you get a Bradley Beal at his salary and R.J. Barrett at his salary,
Yeah. They don't match. Yeah.
you got to get rid of Mitchell Robinson. You got to get rid of all these other players, Obi Toppin, all these other players to get him.
It's not likely.
And then everyone is an ankle sprain away.
Right.
So it's not that simple if you're building a team and a culture. R.J. Barrett is going to be a 20-point scorer.
Who does a lot of other things on the floor well. Agreed.
And Bradley Beal is a star. Okay, no doubt about it. But in order to get that star, and I'm going to go back to the Carmelo. Carmelo Anthony still is, in my view, a very elite player at what he does because he can score that basketball. But to get Carmelo in New York, they had to give up so much to get him. Now you're not able to exercise or utilize that player in its proper role because Carmelo is a 25-point scorer every day of the week and twice on Sundays. So that's a very loaded question. So my instincts would tell me no.
Yep.
Because the flexibility that I have with RJ and all those other young players. I mean, you have Kevin Knox over there, who I think is a talent. You have Mitchell Robinson over there. You have Obi Toppin over there. And you have RJ Barrett, and they're all on rookie scale contracts. I'm feeling really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling really good right now, and we're in the playoffs, and we're better right now than the Washington Wizards. And the Washington Wizards have 2 supermax players on their team.
Yeah, so
I feel really good about the Knicks.
Maybe this is about the right veteran free agent. Maybe this is Kyle Lowry. I don't know.
Because one of those ways to improve your team is from within.
Well,
as I
that's
said,
the other thing. The player development angle here.
How much better? Yeah, are those other guys? Are those 4 guys? Is Obi Toppin is going to be an improved player?
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell Robinson is an improved player from last year. R.J. Barrett is an improved player. Kevin Knox has shown flashes. I know he hasn't been as consistent, but Kevin Knox is a talent, okay?
He's 21 years old.
He's 21 years old.
Quickly, he's 21 years old. Mitchell Robinson's 22 years old. There's only 2 guys on the roster over 30. I can't believe Derek's only 31, and Taj is 35.
This is what I'm saying.
They've got to stay the course. They've got to stay the course.
You got to stay the course. And I love Bradley Beal, but again, I'm looking at it and just calling it, how I see it.
They just added Norvell Pell, role-playing big man with some attitude, for some front court depth, I believe, for the remainder of the season. And I don't want to brush over this. How great is it seeing Noel finally find his role and footing in the league? Because this guy was, 2nd or 3rd overall in the draft, had all these expectations, clearly wasn't ready yet from a physicality standpoint and an offensive standpoint to be a contributor. and was borderline being viewed fairly unfairly as a potential bust, which I think is ridiculous because he had a lot of room to grow. And now he's finally found a role on a team where his skill set is being highlighted, he's being appreciated, and he fits well. And I think he has the potential to be a big part of what they do moving forward with Mitchell Robinson back. I mean, you put both of those guys at the 5, and that's your 5-man rotation right there. It's only positive things, I think, for the Knicks moving forward.
So a lot of times when you come into this league, Eric, as a young player, sometimes you find your rhythm, or you find your team immediately. Sometimes you got to find your way around the league to find your right place. Nerlens Noel is a big. He came into this league, and the league suddenly changed. Bigs and what his skill set, what he did, and what he does naturally.
Yep.
Let's just call it like it is. It wasn't valued anymore in the league because now we're looking for stretch 5s. We're looking for stretch 4s and 5s who can shoot the 3, and they're skilled and they can do all of the things, a la Dirk Nowitzki, a la, Porzingis. All of these guys who come in and they can stretch players. Nerlens Noel has finally gotten to a coach, into a system that values what he does. Nerlens Noel can be, and I've said this when I started scouting him at the University of Kentucky, he is an all-star role player because he does all of the little things that don't show up in the
box score. Yep.
He defends. He contests every shot. He sets great screens. He changes the end of the court. He gives second and third effort. He's always in the dunker spot. He doesn't demand touches. All of the things that you want to do where that's valued, suddenly we say, oh, Nerlens Noel, what a great pickup for the Knicks. He's been doing that since high school.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed. What has changed is that suddenly he gets to a coach who values that. Tom Thibodeau values effort. Okay?
Yep.
He values that. He's not telling Nerlens Noel, well, you got to improve your 3-point shooting or I can't play you. He's not asking Nerlens Noel to be a pick and pop guy.
Nope.
Nerlens Noel picks and you dive.
Yep.
And the guy coming off the screen doesn't even have to worry about passing him the ball because he's not looking to it. Nerlens Noel is offensive rebounder. Todd Gibson is looking to get the offensive rebound. That's called, in our era, that's called rebound, my friend, if you want to score.
You want the ball, go get it off the glass. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, that's valued there in New York. So now you can see what that brings to your team. He's not asking him to do anything other than to do what he does naturally. And it's the coach's job to put those other pieces around him to complement the team. So, again, give Nerlens Noel credit for being a pro all these years and finally getting to a place where you can say, oh, that's what he does. Now, if he goes and plays for, let's say, Mike D'Antoni, he's probably not playing.
Yeah.
He's probably not playing for that guy. Why? Because that's not valued there. Mike D'Antoni wants stretch 5s. And I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong. It's just, so for him, this is the right place for him. The guy, he's a pro. And I'm not really concerned about how strong and whether he's ready to play. He throws his body around. And he plays hard on both ends of the court. So,
I mean, without Mitchell Robinson, he's been huge for them. I mean,
he's active and he's got what we say, he's got a live body. He's active now.
And the perfect pairing too with Randall.
Yes.
They pair very well together. We hope you enjoyed that quick hitter. Check out the Pure Hoops podcast, dropping each and every Friday, presented by Pure Hoops Media. Stay pure.